Imagine you're lying on your bed, completely relaxed, every muscle utterly relaxed. That, in effect, is the relationship to our own willpower that we want to have at every moment. If we're walking around, if we're talking, if we're working, whatever it is we're doing, it should happen involuntarily and spontaneously, despite our level of relaxation. Imagine for a moment that we didn't know that breathing happened automatically and involuntarily, and we thought that we had to put an effort to make each breath happen. That if we didn't do that, we would stop breathing and then die. Well, if someone came along and said, actually, breathing happens by itself, it would be difficult to take them on faith, even if there were many such people over millennia and across many cultures that said this was so. And even if there had been occasional times in your life when it had seemed that the breathing had happened automatically, still, you would have gotten so used to believing that you needed to put an effort behind every breath and feeling to be so crucial, so critical, that to relax that effort, to surrender, would be a very difficult thing to do. It would have to be done in stages, just like the actual practice of surrender. And as you started trying to surrender, trying to stop putting an effort into breathing and just seeing what happens, it might seem that the breathing wasn't happening involuntarily. And this might happen for several possible reasons. One of them might be that you didn't wait long enough, right? You stopped putting in effort, and then you get scared that no breath is forthcoming. So you immediately resume effort. You don't wait long enough. Another possibility is there might be certain rituals that you have that surround this act of effortful breathing, right? You might have come to believe like, oh, you need to do it in this way, in this manner. You need to have your lucky charm with you, otherwise it doesn't work, right? Because this is so critical that you breathe continuously and you do it effortfully. And when you let go and surrender, and those extra things that aren't actually connected to breathing don't happen the way that you're used to them happening, you might conclude the breathing isn't happening. In fact, that's not true, first of all. And secondly, it's not only that we may think of those things as required for breathing, we may not even realize that the breathing is the core activity and that all these other things are extraneous, superfluous accessories that aren't actually critical at all. We may think of the whole thing as one big glob of stuff that needs to happen. It's all critical. We don't know what the critical part is. So we think it's all one big critical thing. But in fact, there's only actually one strand which is critical. All the rest is support that we think is important, but is not actually important, because the breathing, which is the actual important strand, will happen on its own by itself. Another possibility for why there might be a bit of a hiccup is you've been spending your whole life, and maybe everyone around you as well, putting effort into breathing. Maybe you've thought of yourself as a particularly good, effortful breather. You've never missed a breath, or something like that, very rarely, right? And this sense of yourself, this identity of yourself, as a particularly good breather, is now threatened by the fact that actually breathing is automatic. And at some level, there may even be for a moment an objection from inside that if it's true that breathing is in fact automatic, all these years of painfully labored, effortful breathing have been a waste and unnecessary. And so part of you may actually self-sabotage in a way for a moment and make it so it seems like you're not actually breathing. But how long can you keep that up? Not forever. Eventually the breathing will reassert itself. So the necessary core of what happens, is the point here, will happen automatically. But we may not know what that necessary core is. What that necessary core is what God decrees. And what God decrees will happen. Whether we think we are in control or not, that necessary core shall happen. And if we can surrender, a lot of this extraneous stuff will fade away. But there can be a transitional period where, because we're used to things occurring in a certain kind of way and with certain paraphernalia around it, those things may not happen. Or, like I said, we may self-sabotage briefly, but if we can sustain our surrender through these obstacles, we will reach another side where what is necessary to happen will happen automatically. And the beauty of that is the relaxation of deep sleep, really, at a deeper level, can be, in some profound sense, enjoyed while awake.